Greetings from sunny South Florida. This is Gatekeeper Media's presentation of the 2022 South Florida Open. It is warm and sunny here, Nick Hanson.
Yeah, it sure is. What a good week it was to be here in South Florida in December.
Yeah, I tell you what, as much of the country is experiencing some very wintry off-season weather, it's nice to look back and think about shorts and t-shirts down in Fort Lauderdale. We've got a couple awesome parks and a couple awesome courses at those parks, and a really good card here.
Yeah, we've got a great card. Thomas, Paul, myself, and a local Coby. Some players to watch here. We've got some Florida locals in Rand and Lotta. And I think we're just going to have a really good turnout here. It's one of the last events for most players. Looking to, place well or maybe get a few more rating points to go into the off season. Looking at Thomas Gilbert's bag here, he's our recent winner, winning the 2021 South Florida Open. Throwing prodigy, we're going to see that FX3, I'm sure, a lot. We'll be putting those PA3s.
Yeah, and Paul McBeth, the reigning world champion, extending his season a little bit, a new Florida resident. Putting with those Lunas, I know we're going to see a lot of buzzes out of him today, and then a variety of overstable and understable drivers.
Yeah, myself next, sponsored by Millennium Golf Discs. Going to be throwing the JLS, the Draco, and then I'll be putting Omega 4 DTs.
And Coby Guice, you see he's got a mixed bag there. Coby's a player with a lot of flair, a lot of style, and a very solid putter. He's going to be putting with that Prime Warden, and you see just a range of discs, a lot of dynamic and west side in there.
All right, let's get into it. Hole 1, 450-foot par 4. As you can see already, you're going to see some of the vegetation that's going to be throughout this course, where it's going to be low ceilings and thick bushy areas along the fairways. This hole is kind of about an S shape, I would say. Really a two-shot hole, and if you get your birdie, you're going to feel like a pretty good athlete to start.
For sure. We're going to be leading off with Thomas here. And even at 450 and Thomas's power, he's not going to be able to, get a real eagle look out of this. Leads off with a forehand. And what's the goal if you're throwing that forehand, Nick?
The goal is really to wrap all the way around the corner and have that short upshot. You risk the tree there that he hit or going into the right short, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And that's really a theme on this course. We're going to see Paul go to the backhand. And this is kind of a floatier play, trying to play a mid or putter. And he hits that same tree. Both of them are going to be in a little bit of a pinch position, but still an opportunity if they throw a good controlled shot.
Yeah, really trying to get past those trees either on the right or left side, so that way you have a straight look down that second tunnel to maybe hyzer off to the left for a birdie.
And Nick, we know you as a very comfortable forehand player. Looks like you saw it off slightly early, but that's still going to leave you with a pretty viable lane, huh?
Yeah, we'll be out there, but that's exactly what I was talking about. That's that short right that it's almost a little pinch, but you may have an opportunity in certain spots.
Coby to that forehand as well, and everybody's going to square up that tree, and it's kind of the aiming point, because missing left can still leave you a decent angle. Missing right, as you sort of did, can pinch you, and that makes Thomas's play here very aggressive.
Wow, that's incredible to go over top of all that. Finding a small window, and looks like he's going to be short in there. Not what he was looking for, but should be able to get up and down still.
Coby also going to the heavens with the tomahawk attempt. Going to get cut down. He'll have probably 180 into the bucket. And I don't know about you, Nick, but I like courses that make players kind of show off their creativity here. And I think that's a big-time theme here at Snyder, where it's going to put you in these uncomfortable spots as we see all four players going for overhand approaches here.
Yeah, you get those like small windows above that you see that look pretty appealing, but as you see, most of our players getting chopped down early. If you do get all the way through, you're going to be happy, but most of our players are trying to get up and down for par at this point.
Coby tries to play for the skip and gets no ground play in the grass. Thomas able to do a little jump putt approach, and you're kind of doing the same. Is this worth a poke early in the round?
Yeah, this is kind of like a half bit, I would say. You're throwing it up there, but it's more just a float, so that way it doesn't go past that chain height and risk going out of bounds deep there.
You see a pretty decent gallery here for a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, they showed up early, and they were very encouraging. It was good to see. And Paul just going to miss a little short for that birdie putt.
Yeah, a little bit nose down there.
Thomas gets his par.
Speaking for myself, it seemed like a lot of the locals were really, really excited just to have an A-tier here that, you know, some touring players come to. This is the second year that I'm aware of it being an A-tier. Maybe previously it has been as well. And just because South Florida is so remote to the rest of the tour, it's a real treat for them to have Paul McBeth, Thomas Gilbert, Garrett Gurthie coming down to their backyard.
Yeah, you could feel the energy all weekend out there with the crowd amongst us.
Yeah, and that's really awesome.
All right, hole 2 is a 400-foot par 3. It's going to be a little uphill, but as you can see, a very tight tunnel. Really, players are looking to get out here to the left to then maybe get a jump putt. If you want to flex something, you sure can and try and get all the way up there, but that's getting a little greedy, I would say.
Yeah, at 400, this is a hole that puts you in between a fairway and a distance driver for the most part. A distance driver is the distance to get there, but there's going to be a lot of play in the middle of the flight. Thomas does a good job, but from that side of the basket, he might be blocked out by a pretty large tree.
And there's Paul getting out there to that left opening, and he's probably going to be about 35 feet or so.
Yeah, that's a pretty darn good outcome here. Nick, you're trying to line up a hyzer flip here and get caught down about halfway through. Coby with another forehand. I think the forehand makes sense for like how the trees initially line up, but it might be conceding a 3 a little bit just because of the difficulty in keeping a forehand straight that long.
Yeah, I honestly didn't even look at the forehand myself. Really just looking at the hyzer flip and going to get myself up there inside the circle for a 3.
Yeah, you're having to really jack a hyzer up there to start, huh?
Yeah, it was yeah, exactly like that. Basically a little sky hyzer, standstill. Thomas with another good run.
You get that.
It'll be.
You get that low ceiling on the tree combined with the elevated basket.
Yeah, it makes it tough. What do you think of elevated baskets?
I like them when they're when they're used to make an otherwise uninteresting hole a little bit more interesting. And I think this course does a nice job doing that, or not overusing them. There's a couple tastefully placed ones. If this one was ground level, I feel like it would make that circle 2 look a little bit more appealing. And now it makes scramble opportunities a lot more critical to put it close.
Yeah, that's very true. Paul McBeth with a big birdie putt there that we saw.
Yeah, not many birdies coming on this hole all day. And it seems like the rest of the card is going to walk away with no harm, no foul pars.
Yeah, I was kind of okay with just getting pars on the first 2 holes.
Yeah, I think that's a huge theme here, where birdies are very playable, but you need to avoid taking big numbers going backwards.
You bet. Here we are at hole 3, 255-foot par 3. A very beautiful hole, as you can see.
Paul navigates the initial gap here, and I think he's probably going mid-range there. Does a nice job to get it over the wall, and anything short of that ledge is going to be out of bounds.
Yeah, it really made you push the backside of the greens, whereas then you're like putting back towards the OB, but that was the best place for you to guarantee safety. As you can see, both of our players kind of hyzering out to the left.
There was a sneaky but subtle... Oh, baby! Nick, you're going for the highlight here. I'd watch that again. Tell us about the shot. What are you throwing here?
This is just a JLS that I'm throwing on a hyzer flip. I'm trying to get to the backside of the green. Obviously, I don't want to be that deep, but I'm happy with just being safe and getting a 3 on this hole and getting out of here.
Yeah, definitely. You did a good job giving it the height, and you see everybody's going here with a little bit of stable finish on the shot, which is good because that left side is much safer to navigate. And then the world champ polecat attempt.
Yeah, you got to throw it in there once in a while, you know? Paul isn't high this time. He's going to want those birdie putts back.
Yeah, you definitely need to cash in on those medium range putts here. I feel like there's not going to be that many tap ins. So you need to capitalize on that range between, say, 25 and 40 in order to score.
I like that once you get on this side, the green was also like on its own, like, you know, platform or whatever you want to call it. So when I was back there, the basket was basically elevated for me, adding another like level of difficulty to the hole.
Right. A lot of clever earthwork goes in here, and you see these like neat cabanas, pavilions. I saw a lot of locals just kind of hanging out there, grilling, having great picnic time. Really neat park.
Here we are at hole 4. It's 498 feet. Water carry from the tee. There is a drop zone if you are in the water, but most players are going to be, you know, finishing hard to the left to make sure they're safe, or we'll have some of our players in this card, I feel like, going for the green.
Slight headwind, and I'll spoil this a little bit. The hole's not actually 498, it's more like 460 or so. So that means that everyone's going to be making some kind of attempt at it. At least everyone on this card, I imagine. Paul giving the width that Thomas wasn't willing to. And Nick, can you...
a little bit short there, it looks like.
Yeah, he'll be in circle 2 with a chance. Nick, can you tell us about how you use your card mate's shots and read off of those to adjust yours?
So it really depends. I mean, if I know who I'm playing with, I'll, you know, try to use it to my advantage. If I know their game and I know their diss. But if I don't really know them that well, like, I try not to look into it that much because, you know, I might see that they're throwing a force or something, but it's their most beat up force, so it doesn't actually fly like a force.
Right.
And so really, you know, you might be thinking that this was supposed to do one thing and it actually did exactly what they thought it was going to do. So I would say for the most part, I try not to really watch that. But, you know, sometimes it gets in your head either way. So
yeah, for sure. At a minimum here, you could kind of see that, you know, there is a little bit of a wind out there. It's making things pick up, or it's making things turn if they're on anhyzer, but as soon as it gets back to hyzer, it's kind of lifting it and pushing it left.
Yeah. It seemed like Paul almost wanted his to push a little more there on that putt.
Yeah.
The sneaky little putt there for par through the tree.
Yeah, that's a backyard putt for sure.
He makes it look so easy too.
I like the rest of the card, standing behind, seeing that angle to congratulate him on it.
It was actually a pretty good angle. I'm not gonna lie.
I
Through the
really like
tree
doing that
over
when,
that, like it was like over the little hanger there, nose down. So
right.
all right, hole number 5, 360 feet par 3. The drone is flying a left side of the fairway, I would say. On the right side, there's an embankment. It's all OB, but most players are going to throw directly over that with either a flex of some sort, unless you have this large forehand that can get over all the trees. For me, it was a very unique and hard hole for, I would say, the way I play my game.
I think this one's unique and hard for everybody, and you can't see the basket. You can't see the trees by the basket. The closest things you can see are what Thomas hit, where you just see the top over Paul's left shoulder here. And those are, I don't know, 90 feet away. Paul's forehand a little bit inside, kind of gets close to the out of bounds, but does stay safe. And you're going to go with the backhand flex shot here.
Yeah, going with a medium stability fairway driver.
You're turning it, and it's got enough height to ride out. Nick, what a highlight.
Yeah, that was probably one of my better shots of the round. Actually getting that flight to stay the full turn and then come out.
Yeah, super high level shot to be able to throw that kind of nose up and turning, and know that it's got the right speed to finish still at the end. Did you know that was such a good shot off the tee, or are you like the rest of us just kind of walking up and hoping it's close?
The only reason I knew is because of the like collapse.
Ah, okay.
When it got over that hill, I was like, nah, it's probably inside circle 2 somewhere.
Very nice putt by Coby. Yeah.
Yeah, this one's got the it's got obstacles on both right and left side of the fairway there, so once you get over the trees, it gets to be a tighter gap.
And nicely done. A little bit of hyzer nose down, and good for you to get on the board there. Do you feel like this was a hole that you were thinking of attacking, or did you figure at this point you could be a couple down already?
This is a spot where I wanted to be 1 to 2 under, and that was a hole that I really was like, if I get it, I get it, but really play for par. Here we are, hole 6, 295 feet. It's going to be a left to right moving shot. I would say most of our players are going to throw a forehand. You do have the road on the right-hand side that is going to be out of bounds.
Yeah, 295, a little bit of a low ceiling. You go with, is that a fairway driver?
Yeah, definitely. The Millennium Draco.
Okay. Getting yourself to about 45 feet away. Putting at the OB, but you still should be able to make an honest run at it. Coby back to that forehand as well. I like this. It's just pushing a little too far right. Perfectly.
Oh, it checks up so nice. Good shot.
Ground play is really important at these two courses. Like some places it'll be really fast, but other places like that, you'll get a sand base and it plays really slow. How did your practice rounds or other thought process go into, how your disc's going to finish?
I would say I noticed that exact thing. The other thing that was new for me was the amount of low ceiling shots on the course and what that offered. I would say the terrain in Florida with the low ceiling that was here was something new for me that I haven't really seen on tour this year.
Yeah, for sure. And nicely done there. You get that putter hot, you can do some stuff out here, huh?
You sure can. That's that range you were talking about earlier, though, that 25 to 40. If you're making those out here, you're going to be scoring well.
Like seeing that truck just creep in as Thomas is lining up.
Yeah, this is a very busy park, and we've already seen it a couple times where you see cars kind of passing as our players are playing. It's going one of those things you kind of just got to block out here because you know it's going to be a busy park, and even on a Friday, there's people all over.
Yeah, for sure. I was conceptualizing this actually a lot like a Gatekeeper Media Philly course, like Sedgley Woods, where you just have to know the distractions are going to happen and ignore them.
Yeah. Here we are at hole 7, 265 feet. It's a par 3. There is an outside route that plays over the OB that most players are going to take with a sidearm. And you have that mound in the middle where it really forces you to play that left side.
And if the last hole was a baby flex, I think the real key... Wow, Nick! Almost putting it in. I think the key here is keeping your disc on hyzer the entire time so that it's moving right most of its flight. If you let it get to flat, it might not have the chance to push all the way back, as the road tracks that way as well. On hyzer as well. So far we're 3 for 4 getting it in, and pretty easy cleanups.
Yeah, I would say this is a pretty routine sidearm for a lot of the open players, or at least you should have about a 250 to 270 sidearm in the bag.
Yeah, and you can really rely on stability here. Once you make that first gap, you're gonna get a road skid.
Yep, exactly.
We've got a little bit of underbrush to deal with, and this is maybe the first time we've seen somebody obstructed on a putt. But sometimes you can be well inside the circle, and those palmetto branches or other brush makes it very difficult to put in. Nicely done.
Hey, there we go. 3 in a row.
Was that a polecat putt as well?
Yep.
What was your logic in going with that instead of your standard putter?
So I tend to go to the polecat when I'm spin putting. I just feel like I get a better grip on it, and I know the angle's better than putting with my regular putter.
Mm-hmm.
So usually when I'm on the putting green and spin putting, I go with the polecat.
Gotcha. I guess what you're going for is you want your normal putter to kind of play heavy, and you want this to play light.
Yeah, similar. Yep. But here we are at hole 8. This is actually one of the holes I like the most on the course here. Straight shot, but very difficult. But first, we've got a chase card check-in here.
I was on this card along with Garrett Gerthy. He's going to go rock 3 here. And this wasn't a spotter. This wasn't a spectator. This was just a guy in the park. He had no idea anything was going on, and Garrett gave him a little fright. Puts it in for the birdie on hole 3.
He's about to be YouTube famous. All right, yourself here on hole 4, teeing off.
And I'm glad I gave it the height and the width. And that's how I know that hole's not quite 498.
I was going to say, you shouldn't have told everybody it was so short.
Yeah, we go start spreading rumors about big arm fishy, huh?
Oh, yeah. Fish throwing 490 spike hyzers. Oh, little good sidearm there.
Pretty much everybody's going to be looking forehand on these, and being able to throw 2 back to back, it's almost like you get a practice shot in for the harder one.
Ain't that the truth? Good putt there. Garrett here for his birdie as well.
And this is a terrible shot. I'm astonished at how well it worked.
What a bounce.
So at that point, I was 3 down through 9. And Garrett, here he is. He's such a good thrower, just able to control that. I think he's going T-bird, just thrown slowly. Also getting himself to 3 down through 9.
Very tough birdie, in my opinion. All right, back at hole number 8 with our feature card.
And you try to pull it into the right side, but get a friendly bounce out to the left. You'll still have about 250 on your approach, huh?
Yeah, it's not looking good there. Could be worse, but stuck behind that tree. Pretty short in the fairway.
Coby plays forehand and tests the ceiling. I think we've spoken about this a little bit before, how the low ceilings and hold distances are a challenge here. I feel like this course design does a really good job putting you in between discs. So at 322, this is a mid-range distance for most everybody, but the ceiling makes it challenging. So I saw even some powerful throwers like Garrett or Randon Latta disking up and going fairway driver.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I was in the same predicament as well, but I figured being short inside the circle was better than being out of bounds. So
get yourself up there with a chance to save your par.
great upshot by Thomas there. In a good position to save his par. Coby here for birdie.
Wow, 4 in a row.
That's incredible.
Look how clean that spin is.
Yeah, it's great. I was going to say, those are the putts that usually get you going, but if you're already going and you make one of those, the rest of the people on your card better watch out.
Yeah, you start feeling that momentum, and that can save your bacon on a course like this, where you don't have to throw perfect tee shots. You know, you can have a little bit of a margin.
Myself, just a little high there on my par putt.
Yeah, honorable bid getting it off the band. Paul with the correction from some earlier misses, able to put it in. This is definitely a stretch that you want to get, because the holes coming up, say 9, 10, 11, are some of the least forgiving on the course.
They're hard. I feel like 9 is a good start to the treacherous part of the course per se.
Definitely.
And here we are, hole number 9. It's a par 4, 615 feet. There is a Mando at the beginning of the hole to go right down the fairway. You'll see players throw either the low shot or the spike hyzer. But then you really have to navigate this second gap here, which is the most important. Rarely people are going to get up here for a birdie, but if they do, they're going to hope to capitalize.
Coby going to go little hyzer on that low line that you spoke of. And that's in a pretty good spot. Still a challenging way to approach.
Yeah, I would say that's the ideal position to get to from there. It's almost hard to get any further left with going that route.
And this spike hyzer, you have to throw it so high that it's almost hard to get it left enough and far enough. Paul's thrown it about as well as I think you can. Very close to where Coby was.
Yeah, these players are throwing one of their flippier distance drivers on a basically complete spike, so that way it flips up through the flight and then it hopefully gets to the top and then just starts, pushing left the rest of the flight.
Yeah, Thomas considerably more inside. With his power, he went past where Paul was, gets a fortunate little rollback. Was there any temptation for you to take that?
I watched it and I wanted to so bad, but I didn't practice it. So I was like, I'm just going to stick to my game plan. I wasn't playing this hole for birdie to start with, so I just kept to that. And threw it, about to this tee pad, and then I'm just throwing a sidearm here to get me a look at that next gap.
Yeah, that's good. I really like the deception on this hole, and your forehand looks like it's way off to the right of where you want to be, but it's actually in a really great spot, I imagine, huh?
Yeah, I think if I remember right, I'm staring right down the tunnel.
Yeah, this hole makes you play golf, where from here, Thomas is going to have to throw a steep hyzer skip shot or something and hug that inside.
Yeah, and see, that's what I was worried about, is just getting hung up, 90 feet short of the basket in this rough and not even having a look.
Paul pushes it far enough. That's down the tunnel.
And he absolutely laces that. Perfect angle, perfect little skip forward. Nice inside the circle putt for birdie.
And that's definitely going to gain him strokes on the field. You're going to play turnover and a nice little backboard. Get you a chance at your 4.
Yeah, thrown into the shrubbery and hoping it sits.
Thomas, a half-speed flick. Easy little tap in. Coby needs to dial up another one of those big putts, huh?
Be a good time for it. Ooh. Just a little short, and that's kind of what I envisioned happening, was getting stuck in there and then risking taking the bogey.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he could probably see the basket. He knew what he was doing, and there's kind of just no great ways out of there. And don't look now. Here comes Paul. He's at 5 down. This is for your opportunity to finish this front at 2. You saw Garrett and me on the second feature card, Gatekeeper filmed, at 3 down. So, at this point, you probably have a pretty good idea, if you're keeping track of scores, of what the most competitive part of the field is doing. Do you feel good about where you've put yourself, or would you like a couple more?
I would say I feel fine with it. Not great, but I'd feel fine with it. I mean, I'm not out of it by any means, but my goal is always just to try and be bogey-free, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a really good way to play courses like this that are kind of sneaky tricky. You see Paul out to a 5 down start through 9, but Hunter Brazel, Garrett Gerthy, Fish, everyone's still kind of in this, and with 45 holes to go, this is going to be a very competitive A-Tier. Nick, what are you looking forward to on the back?
I'm excited to see these tight, tough holes and see how our competitors navigate them.
For sure. Thank you so much for joining us, and be sure to follow on the back 9 of the MPO Round 1 of the South Florida Open. For Nick Hanson, I'm Andrew Fish.
Like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you on the back 9.